Welcome to the Discourse Analyzer AI Toolkit, where articles come alive. You're listening to the audio version of our article. For the full text and an interactive experience, check out the link in the description below. Interact with any selection using our AI assistant to enhance your understanding. Let's explore.
Discursive formations in discourse analysis. Discursive formations are a key concept in discourse analysis, particularly influenced by the work of Michel Foucault. Discursive formations refer to the structured ways in which knowledge and meaning are organized and produced through language within a particular historical and social context. These formations are not just about individual statements or texts but about the broader systems of thought that govern what can be said, who can say it, and how certain knowledge becomes accepted as truth. 1. Understanding discursive formations. Definition of discursive formations. Discursive formations are the rules and practices that govern the production of discourse within a specific domain of knowledge or society. They determine how concepts are defined, how knowledge is categorized, and how certain truths are established. These formations are not static but evolve over time, reflecting changes in social, political, and historical contexts. Systems of knowledge. Discursive formations structure entire fields of knowledge, such as medicine, law, or economics, shaping how these fields understand and talk about their subject matter. Regimes of truth. Within a discursive formation, certain statements are accepted as true, while others are marginalized or excluded. This process reflects the power relations embedded in discourse. Example: in the field of medicine, the discursive formation around mental health has evolved over time. At different historical moments, conditions like hysteria or schizophrenia have been understood and treated in various ways, reflecting broader social attitudes and scientific paradigms. The way these conditions are discussed and treated is governed by the discursive formation that defines what is considered legitimate knowledge about mental health. 2. Key components of discursive formations. Rules of formation. The structures that govern discourse. Rules of formation refer to the underlying principles that determine what can be said within a particular discursive formation. These rules dictate the types of statements that are considered valid, the roles of the speakers, and the contexts in which certain discourses can be produced. Conditions of existence. What must be true for a statement to be made within a discursive formation? For instance, the acceptance of certain scientific methods as valid is a condition of existence for discourse in the natural sciences. Authority of the speaker. Discursive formations often dictate who is qualified to speak on certain topics. In legal discourse, for example, only those with legal expertise, judges, lawyers, are authorized to interpret and apply the law. Example: in educational discourse, the rules of formation might include the expectation that only certified teachers can provide formal instruction, and that textbooks must be approved by educational authorities before they can be used in classrooms. These rules shape what can be taught and how education is understood within the society. Concepts and categories. How knowledge is organized. Discursive formations involve the creation and use of specific concepts and categories that organize knowledge within a field. These concepts are not neutral. They are shaped by the discursive formation and reflect the power dynamics within that domain of knowledge. Naming and categorization. The way things are named and categorized within a discursive formation reflects broader social and political concerns. For example, how different diseases are categorized in medical discourse reflects both scientific understanding and social attitudes. Conceptual frameworks. The dominant concepts within a discursive formation create a framework that guides research, policy, and practice. These frameworks can be challenged and changed over time, leading to shifts in the discursive formation. Example: in criminology, the concepts of crime and criminal are central to the discursive formation. How these concepts are defined, whether crime is seen primarily as a legal, moral, or social issue, shapes how society responds to crime and how criminals are treated. Changes in these concepts, such as the shift from viewing drug addiction as a criminal issue to seeing it as a public health issue, reflect changes in the discursive formation. Enunciative modalities. Who speaks and how? Enunciative modalities refer to the conditions under which statements are made within a discursive formation. This includes who is allowed to speak, the authority they have, and the style or genre of communication that is appropriate. Authorized voices. Different discursive formations grant authority to different voices. In academic discourse, for example, scholars and researchers are the authorized voices, while in political discourse, politicians and experts are often seen as the legitimate speakers. Genres of discourse. The style and format of communication are also governed by the discursive formation. Academic articles, policy documents, and media reports each follow different conventions that reflect their respective discursive formations. Example: in environmental discourse, scientists, policymakers, and activists may all contribute to the discussion, but each group is likely to speak in different genres, scientific papers, policy briefs, protest speeches, and with different levels of authority. The enunciative modalities determine how their contributions are received and valued within the broader discourse on environmental issues. Strategies of inclusion and exclusion. What is included in the discourse? Discursive formations are characterized by strategies that include certain statements, ideas, or perspectives while excluding others. These strategies shape the boundaries of discourse and determine what is considered legitimate knowledge. Inclusion. Discourses that align with the dominant ideology or the accepted scientific paradigm are more likely to be included and disseminated within the discursive formation. Exclusion. Ideas that challenge the dominant discourse, or that come from marginalized voices, may be excluded or marginalized within the discursive formation. Example: in historical discourse, certain narratives may be included as part of the official history, while others, such as the perspectives of colonized peoples, may be excluded or marginalized. The decision to include or exclude certain narratives reflects the power dynamics within the discursive formation of history. Point 3. Examples of discursive formations in various contexts. Example 1. Discursive formations in medicine. In the field of medicine, discursive formations shape how health and illness are understood, how treatments are developed, and how patients are categorized. Medical knowledge. The discursive formation of biomedicine emphasizes the body as a machine that can be studied, diagnosed, and repaired. This formation includes concepts like disease, treatment, and recovery, while often excluding holistic or alternative approaches to health. Authority of practitioners. The medical profession grants authority to doctors, researchers, and pharmaceutical companies, while often marginalizing alternative practitioners or patients' personal experiences. Example: the shift in understanding mental health from a focus on hysteria in the 19th century to modern concepts of anxiety and depression reflects changes in the discursive formation of psychiatry. These changes involve new categories of diagnosis, new treatments, and new ways of understanding mental illness. Example 2. Discursive formations in law. Legal discourse is another area where discursive formations play a crucial role in shaping how justice is understood and administered. Legal concepts. The discursive formation of law includes concepts like rights, obligations, and justice. These concepts structure how legal professionals understand cases, how laws are written, and how judgments are made. Judicial authority. The authority to interpret and apply the law is granted to judges, lawyers, and legal scholars, whose voices are privileged within the legal discursive formation. Example: the concept of human rights has evolved within the legal discursive formation, leading to the inclusion of new categories of rights, such as digital privacy rights, that were not considered in earlier legal frameworks. This evolution reflects broader social changes and shifts in the legal discourse. Example 3. Discursive formations in politics. Political discourse is shaped by discursive formations that define how power, governance, and citizenship are understood. Political ideologies. The discursive formation of politics includes ideologies such as democracy, socialism, and conservatism. These ideologies shape the concepts and categories used in political discourse, such as freedom, equality, and justice. Public discourse. Politicians, media, and public intellectuals are the authorized voices within the political discursive formation, shaping public opinion and policy. Example: the concept of national security has been a dominant idea in political discourse, especially post 9/11. This discursive formation includes specific narratives about threats, borders, and security measures, while often excluding or marginalizing perspectives that emphasize civil liberties or global cooperation. Example 4. Discursive formations in education. In education, discursive formations shape how knowledge is transmitted, what is considered valuable learning, and how educational success is defined. Curriculum design. The educational discursive formation includes concepts like literacy, numeracy, and critical thinking. These concepts shape the curriculum, teaching methods, and assessment practices. Authority of educators. Teachers, administrators, and educational policymakers are the authorized voices within the educational discursive formation, while students' voices are often less valued. Example: the increasing emphasis on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Education reflects a shift in the discursive formation of education. This shift prioritizes certain types of knowledge and skills, potentially marginalizing the humanities and arts. Conclusion. Discursive formations are central to understanding how knowledge, power, and meaning are constructed and maintained through language. By analyzing discursive formations, discourse analysts can uncover the rules, concepts, and power dynamics that shape different fields of knowledge and social life. Whether in medicine, law, politics, or education, discursive formations determine what is considered true, who is authorized to speak, and how ideas are organized and disseminated. Understanding these formations allows for a deeper insight into the ways language structures our understanding of the world and the ways in which power operates through discourse. Frequently asked questions. What are discursive formations in discourse analysis? Discursive formations refer to the structured ways in which knowledge, meaning, and truth are organized and produced through language within specific historical and social contexts. These formations shape how concepts are defined, who is authorized to speak, and what kinds of statements are considered valid or true within a particular domain of knowledge or society. How do discursive formations relate to systems of knowledge? Discursive formations structure entire fields of knowledge, such as medicine, law, or economics. They determine how subjects are understood and discussed within these fields by establishing the rules, concepts, and categories that guide what is considered legitimate knowledge and how it is produced and disseminated. What are the key components of discursive formations? The key components of discursive formations include rules of formation. These are the underlying principles that govern what can be said within a particular discursive formation. Concepts and categories. These are the ways knowledge is organized within a discursive formation, including how things are named and categorized. Enunciative modalities. These refer to who is allowed to speak, the authority they have, and the style or genre of communication that is appropriate within the discursive formation. Strategies of inclusion and exclusion. These determine what is included in the discourse and what is marginalized or excluded. Can you explain the concept of rules of formation? In discursive formations, rules of formation refer to the structures that determine what can be said within a discursive formation. They include the conditions under which statements are made, who is authorized to make them, and what genres or styles of communication are considered appropriate. These rules shape the discourse by setting the boundaries of what is considered valid knowledge. How do concepts and categories function within discursive formations? Concepts and categories within discursive formations organize knowledge by defining and categorizing subjects. These concepts are not neutral, they reflect the power dynamics and social concerns of the time. For instance, the way different diseases are categorized in medical discourse reflects both scientific understanding and social attitudes toward health and illness. What are enunciative modalities in discursive formations? Enunciative modalities refer to the conditions under which statements are made within a discursive formation, including who is allowed to speak and with what authority. They also include the specific genres or styles of discourse that are recognized as legitimate within that formation, such as academic articles in scholarly discourse or legal opinions in legal discourse. How do strategies of inclusion and exclusion shape discursive formations? Strategies of inclusion and exclusion in discursive formations determine what is considered legitimate knowledge and what is marginalized or excluded. Dominant discourses tend to include ideas that align with the prevailing ideology or scientific paradigm, while excluding or marginalizing perspectives that challenge these dominant views. Can you provide an example of a discursive formation in medicine? In medicine, the discursive formation of biomedicine structures how health and illness are understood. It emphasizes the body as a machine that can be diagnosed and treated through scientific methods. This formation includes specific concepts like disease and treatment, and often marginalizes alternative or holistic approaches to health. For example, the shift in understanding mental health conditions from hysteria to anxiety and depression reflects changes within the discursive formation of psychiatry. How do discursive formations influence legal discourse? In legal discourse, discursive formations shape how justice, rights, and obligations are understood and administered. Legal concepts such as rights and justice are central to the discursive formation of law, influencing how laws are written, interpreted, and applied. The authority to speak within this formation is typically granted to legal professionals, such as judges and lawyers, who are seen as the legitimate interpreters of the law. What role do discursive formations play in political discourse? In political discourse, discursive formations define how power, governance, and citizenship are understood. They include ideologies like democracy or socialism, which shape the concepts and categories used in political debates and policymaking. For example, the discursive formation around national security has shaped how political issues related to security and defense are discussed, often excluding or marginalizing perspectives that emphasize civil liberties. How do discursive formations impact education? In education, discursive formations determine how knowledge is transmitted, what is considered valuable learning, and how success is defined. The educational discursive formation includes concepts like literacy and critical thinking, which guide curriculum design and teaching methods. For instance, the increasing emphasis on STEM education reflects a shift in the discursive formation, prioritizing certain types of knowledge and skills over others, such as the arts. Why is understanding discursive formations important in discourse analysis? Understanding discursive formations is crucial because they reveal how knowledge, power, and meaning are constructed and maintained through language. By analyzing these formations, discourse analysts can uncover the rules, concepts, and power dynamics that shape different fields of knowledge and social life. This insight allows for a deeper understanding of how language structures our perceptions of the world and how power operates through discourse. How do discursive formations evolve over time? Discursive formations are not static. They evolve in response to changes in social, political, and historical contexts. Shifts in dominant ideologies, scientific paradigms, or social attitudes can lead to changes in the rules, concepts, and categories that define a discursive formation. For example, changes in societal attitudes towards mental health have led to shifts in the discursive formation of psychiatry, influencing how mental health conditions are understood and treated.